Today I'm out here getting some elderberry cuttings so that I can propagate some more elderberry plants for myself and for my fall plant sales. So I thought I would show you how I do it. These elderberry plants are in their third year and they've really taken off. Every other year I cut them back hard in the fall. It helps keep them healthy, encourages vigorous new growth, and makes harvesting much easier the following season. Right now the elderberries are ripening. I didn't harvest any elderflowers this year, but that's something I'd like to do in the future. One of my goals is to propagate enough plants to establish a separate row just for flower production. If you're harvesting elderflowers for their medicinal uses, it's important to remember that those flowers won't go on to produce berries, so having dedicated plants for each purpose can be really helpful. As I selected my cuttings, I looked for stems that had begun developing into hardwood. I also found a few shoots growing from the base of the plant that had already started producing roots, and those make excellent candidates for propagation as well. After taking a good number of cuttings, I placed them in a bucket of water to keep the stems from drying out while I gathered my pots and potting mix. Keeping the cuttings hydrated gives them the best chance of rooting successfully. As I prepare the cuttings, I'll trim back stems to a more manageable size. I make a fresh angled cut at the base of each cutting, which exposes more of the stem than a straight cut. I'll also lightly scrape a small section of the outer bark near the bottom. This exposes the cambium layer and gives additional places for roots to develop. You don't have to remove much, just a light scrape is enough. Next, I remove any extra side branches or leaves that would end up below the soil line. That allows the cutting to focus its energy on producing roots instead of supporting unnecessary growth. I'm using relatively small pots because they require less potting mix. And elderberries root readily without needing a large container. I simply make sure there's enough stem below the soil to anchor the cutting securely. Before planting, I thoroughly moisten the potting mix. During the heat of summer, keeping the soil consistently moist is probably the biggest challenge. These cuttings will stay in full shade all day, and I'll keep them in a spot where I walk by several times a day so I can easily check the moisture and water whenever needed. I don't typically use rooting hormone. You're certainly welcome to if you'd like, but elderberries root so readily that I've had excellent success without it. Don't be discouraged if your cuttings wilt during the first day or two. That's completely normal. As long as the soil stays moist and the cuttings don't dry out, they'll often perk back up once they begin forming roots. If you'd rather not worry about keeping potting mix evenly moist, you can also root elderberry cuttings in water. Just place the bottom few inches of the stem in a jar of water, keeping any leaves above the water line, and change the water every few days to keep it fresh. Once you have several healthy roots that are an inch or two long, they're ready to be potted up. If your cuttings have been rooting indoors or in a protected area, don't forget to harden them off before planting them outside. Hardening off simply means gradually introducing the young plants to outdoor conditions over the course of about a week. Start by placing them outside in a shaded, sheltered spot for a few hours each day, then slowly increase their time outdoors and their exposure to sunlight. This helps prevent transplant shock and gives your new elderberry plants the best chance to thrive. If you've never tried propagating elderberries before, I hope this encourages you to give it a try. Before long, you may have enough to share with friends, grow a hedge, harvest more flowers and berries, or even have a few extra plants to sell.